Chapter 1, The Awakening from Defeat and Strategic Calculation. In the Heavens Arena, Hisoka suffered a complete and total defeat at the hands of Krollo Lucifer. However, after dying once and being resurrected by postmortem Nen, the very first thing he did was brutally slaughter Shanark and Kordapi. Witnessing this action, some might perceive it as merely taking out his frustration on the weaker members of the group. But when we unravel the situation, we can see that hidden within this act is Hisoka's extremely calm, rational, and calculated strategy for victory. Why did Hisoka begin hunting the spiders? Let's break down the strategic perspective that serves as his primary motivation. First, recall the nature of the enemy, Krollo. His Nen ability, Skill Hunter, allows him to steal the abilities of others, store them in a book, and use them at will. In their battle at Heaven's Arena, Krollo assembled a hand of abilities that guaranteed a 100% victory against Hisoka. The core of this winning hand relied on the abilities of his fellow troop members, Shanark's Black Voice and Kordapi's Gallery Fake. Krollo used Kordapi's ability to copy a massive number of spectators and Shanark's ability to control them, physically crushing Hisoka. Here, Hisoka faced a harsh reality: fighting Krollo is synonymous with fighting against the abilities of the entire Phantom troop behind him. Krollo is powerful on his own, but as long as he can borrow abilities from his crew, his options are infinite, and countering him is impossible. So, what is the solution? The answer is simple: kill the lenders. Due to the restrictions of Skill Hunter, if the original owner of an ability dies, that ability vanishes from Krollo's book, with rare exceptions like Sun and Moon. Therefore, for Hisoka, hunting the troop is not merely revenge, it is a disarmament operation to strip the ammunition and weaponry from the ultimate weapon known as Krollo. Furthermore, there is the possibility that this was not a duel, but a lynching. During the fight, there were moments, such as the impossible speed of the puppet manipulation or the retrieval of antennas, that suggested Krollo might not have been fighting alone. If Shanark or Kordapi were hiding in the venue supporting Krollo, then the duel Hisoka believed in was actually a team battle from the start. If that is the case, the formal steps of a duel that Hisoka insisted on are meaningless. If the opponent comes with organizational power, Hisoka must destroy that organization by any means necessary. He realized that the troop members are not just Krollo's companions, but his limbs and parts. The moment he shifted his perception, his goal changed from individual battles to destroying the components required to defeat the main body. Why were Shanark and Kordapi the first targets? It wasn't just because they were accessible. It was a strategic necessity. First, the danger level of their abilities. Kordapi's Gallery Fake allows for the mass production of bomb puppets, preventing Hisoka from even getting close. Shanark's Black Voice is an instant win attack: if a single antenna pierces Hisoka, it's checkmate. Among Krollo's hand, these two carried the greatest threats of mass quantity and one-hit kills. They had to be erased first. Second, they were at their most defenseless. Immediately after the battle at Heaven's Arena, they were either still lending their abilities to Krollo or had just received them back, meaning they were not in a state to fight effectively. Shanark did not have his phone, and Kordapi was alone without a guard. Hisoka did not miss the timing when they were unable to use their abilities or were completely off guard, and he eliminated them with certainty. This was less of a hunt and more of a cold, calculated disposal. The message left with Maki was also part of this strategy. By declaring that he will attack anywhere, anytime, he forces Krollo to remain in a constant state of high alert, keeping abilities borrowed. This places a continuous strain on Krollo's mental capacity, preventing him from preparing perfectly again. Hisoka's reason for hunting the spiders is not a rampage driven by madness. It is to strip the king of his clothes. It is Hisoka's way of setting the table perfectly, breaking all the troublesome limbs so that the next time they face each other, he can drag out the pure, unaided Krollo. Chapter 2, The Insult Called Mercy That Enraged the Grim Reaper. In the waiting room of Heaven's Arena, Hisoka had become a charred lump of flesh. His heart stopped. After achieving a miraculous resuscitation through postmortem Nen, the first emotion he showed was neither joy nor relief. It was a bottomless void, and from that void, a quiet, intense rage welled up. Why did he decide to massacre the spiders immediately after reviving? Ironically, the trigger was a specific phrase uttered by Maki, a member who had stayed behind to tend to his body. This moment marks the psychological turning point where Hisoka transformed from a fighter into a calamity. When Hisoka revived, Maki said to him, "If you've learned your lesson, choose your opponents and the place more carefully next time." At first glance, this sounds like sound advice to a loser, or perhaps even a chaotic form of pity for Maki. However, these words were the greatest insult possible, denying the very core of who Hisoka is. Think about it. The fight between Hisoka and Kurlo was supposed to be a death match, a battle that continues until one side is dead. Yet, Maki said, "Next time." What does this mean? It implies that the Phantom Troop decided, "We let you off the hook this time, or you aren't even worth killing properly." For Hisoka, a battle is a transaction of life on equal terms, a supreme act of love. But the opponent didn't kill him as an equal enemy, they punished him like a naughty child and let him go. This patronizing mercy wounded the pride of the man who calls himself the strongest far more deeply than the defeat itself. Furthermore, behind this insult lies Kurlo's cruelty, his indifference. Kurlo had the ability to ensure Hisoka's death, to crush his head or destroy the body completely. But he didn't. He turned his back and left. This suggests that Kurlo no longer views Hisoka as a threat. Whether he lives or dies is of no concern to the spider. The opponent Hisoka thought was his greatest toy treated him like a pebble on the road. This disregard, this ignoring of his courtship, caused Hisoka's twisted love to flip into clear murderous intent. The moment he heard Maki's words, the usual playful madness vanished from Hisoka's expression. He realized something. "I see, so that's how it is." He had been playing to die, but they were managing him like a game. They broke the promise of a one-on-one fight, lynched him as a group, and then gave him mercy and said, "See you later." Don't be ridiculous. Here, Hisoka discarded the rule he had imposed on himself, the duel with the strong. If the troop refused his date to the death and tried to process him as an organization, then he would destroy their function as an organization. Sparing Maki and using her as a messenger wasn't kindness. The declaration "I will kill you on sight, anywhere, with anyone" is a complete rejection of Maki's proposal to prepare and fight next time. Hisoka is not just hunting the troop because he lost to Kurlo. He is retaliating against the fact that they went easy on him, protesting with his life against being looked down upon as not worth killing. "Underestimating me will cost you dearly." With that sentiment, he wiped the smile from his face and transformed into a ruthless killing machine. The essence of the hunt in this phase is Hisoka's attempt to reprove his own value to regain his shattered pride. Chapter 3, At the End of Distorted Love, Hisoka's Ideal Date. The battle at Heaven's Arena was a moment Hisoka had waited for. After years of chasing and being teased, he finally got his one-on-one with Kurlo. However, the conclusion didn't satisfy him, it plunged him into deep disappointment. That battle was not the exchange of love Hisoka sought, but merely work. For Hisoka, combat is synonymous with intimacy. Feeling the opponent's heartbeat, whittling down each other's lives, clashing with full power until reaching a climax, that is life and sex to him. By understanding his perverse values, we can decode the true motive behind the spider hunt. Hisoka is a hedonist, but he has specific tastes. What excites him is a dense, one-on-one struggle with a strong opponent. Conversely, he shows no interest in animal play against monsters that don't speak, or party play where enemies swarm in groups. What Kurlo provided at Heaven's Arena was exactly this party play. He set a massive number of puppets on Hisoka while commanding safely from a distance. From Hisoka's perspective, this is like making a date, but the partner brings a dozen friends and refuses to make eye contact. "I'm looking at you, but you're not looking at me." Surrounded by inorganic puppets, unable to even touch the body of his beloved Kurlo, it was a battle that forced him into a humiliating state of unfulfillment. From this viewpoint, the meaning of hunting the troop changes completely. Hisoka isn't just killing Shanark, Kordapi, and the others for revenge. He is eliminating third wheels to ensure the success of the next date. As long as Kurlo has the convenient tools known as the troop members, he will likely attempt party play again. To Hisoka, the troop members are nothing but boorish chaperones interrupting his alone time with Kurlo. "With you people around, Kurlo won't look at me." Like a jealous lover, Hisoka is erasing the elements that distract Kurlo's attention one by one. Killing them removes Krillow's escape routes and options for holding back, creating an environment where Krillow is forced to look only at him. In this context, keeping Maki alive can be interpreted as a part of this twisted expression of love. Maki is a favorite of Hisoka, though not to the same degree as Krillow. His message to her wasn't just a declaration of war, but a selfish courtship ritual: "I'm going to make you take responsibility for turning me on." Hisoka is currently tearing the legs off the spider one by one to isolate Krillow. It looks like cruel torture, but in Hisoka's mind, it is based on a pure yet insane romanticism. "Once I remove all these distracting accessories, I can finally make love to the naked you." Now, on the Black Whale, Hisoka and the troop are trapped in the same closed space. The chaotic situation involving civilians is just spice to Hisoka. Because the fewer troop members there are, the closer he gets to that supreme moment with Krillow. The reason Hisoka started hunting the spiders is ultimate egoism. He wants to savor his most beloved prey, Krillow, down to the bone, without anyone interfering and without any cheap tricks. The blood he spills is merely foreplay for the supreme pleasure that is to come. Chapter 4, Collapsed Aesthetics and Indiscriminate Terror. The defeat at Heaven's Arena brought an irreversible change to the man known as Hisoka. The old Hisoka had an aesthetic, like a farmer waiting for fruit to ripen. He would wait for his opponents to be in perfect condition before crushing them head-on. But the resurrected Hisoka chose a different path, decapitating Cordopi while he was completely off guard and slaughtering Shanark while he was on the phone. It was tasteless, one-sided, and purely a disposal. This drastic change shocked many. But this is the complete transformation of Hisoka's combat style. He no longer intends to entertain the audience as a magician. He has started a campaign of terrorism with no rules, no designated location, and zero preparation time. First, look at the change in how Hisoka uses time. Previously, he sought passive pleasure, waiting for Krillow or Gon to grow and prepare. But at Heaven's Arena, Krillow used that time to prepare a perfect formation, and Hisoka lost helplessly. From this experience, Hisoka reached a conclusion: if I give them time to prepare, I lose. So, I must crush them before they prepare. His declaration to fight without choosing the place or opponent is the manifestation of this tactical shift. When the troop members are eating, sleeping, or unsuspecting, Hisoka has abandoned all hesitation in targeting humans at their most vulnerable moments. This creates intense stress for Krillow and the spiders. They must remain in a constant state of combat readiness, wearing down their aura and mental strength. Hisoka is rotting the organization from the inside, not just with physical attacks, but with the terror of not knowing when he will strike. Secondly, the stage of this slaughter, inside a ship, accelerates Hisoka's madness. The Black Whale is a giant, inescapable sealed room. It contains hundreds of thousands of ordinary passengers acting as a wall of meat. Hisoka's ability, Texture Surprise, is specialized for disguise. In this crowd, Hisoka can become anyone. A passing old man, a crying child, or a crew member. The paranoia that anyone could be Hisoka eats away at them. The troop is now tasting the fear of being the hunted. On vast land, running or searching is easy, but in the complex maze of the ship, a surprise attack from Hisoka's bungee gum becomes an unavoidable, instant death trap. For Hisoka, this ship is not transportation, it is a giant insect cage to keep the spiders from escaping, a coffin to suffocate them. Finally, the situation plummeted into chaos with the entry of Illumi Zoldyck into the troop. Hisoka commissioned Illumi to kill him, effectively sending him to the troop's side. This seems suicidal, but it reveals Hisoka's twisted hedonism. He doesn't just want to win, he wants to enjoy the razor's edge of death. Facing the entire troop, with the ultimate assassin Illumi aiming at his back, this is the opposite of the managed battle with Krillow. It is a battle royale where no one can predict the outcome. With Illumi there, the troop cannot focus solely on Hisoka. While searching for Hisoka, Illumi might go rogue, or perhaps Hisoka and Illumi are actually conspiring to attack together. By throwing the poison called Illumi into the pot, Hisoka has transformed this voyage into a death party that no one can control. There is no longer any chivalry or respect for the strong. There is only pure malice that tramples others for his own pleasure. The conclusion is that Hisoka has discarded his humanity and evolved into a phenomenon, a disaster designed to eradicate the troop. whether the spider's legs are all torn off first, or the ship sinks first. The voyage to the Dark Continent has become an endless funeral procession conducted by the Grim Reaper named Hisoka.